putting the fun into football and helping young players develop their skills. The Football Association's Development School and their FUNdamental programs have now entered a new phase. Development School Year 3 teams have been entered into club football setup for the first time. And after the first couple of games, how are they performing? A question for the GFA Youth Football Coordinator, Tiago Costa. Thank you for joining us, Tiago.
Absolutely brilliant to be back. Thank you, Jonathan. Well, yes, they've
changes that brought about this weekend, basically, no? The start of the new term.
Start of the new year. So we, like you said, we entered the new phase of the development school program, which was to include and introduce the element of more organised competition. So prior to the Christmas break, we gave the kids the experience of one-day festivals, which were a load of fun. Kids sort of playing all the different teams within their year groups and short, fast-paced games. And
organised by school?
No, organised by the GFA. So the schools...
No, sorry, organised by the GFA.
Oh, they're in their school teams.
But they're playing with their school,
absolutely,
like mates.
So yes, they're playing in their school teams, or representing their schools, as it were, split into different groups. So there were a number of different teams in each age category, and it was just really nice to see sort of everyone banding together. The parents were great. I've got a fantastic team of coaches that help run the day and made sure that everything was running smoothly and that the kids were enjoying themselves. And even during the breaks, they were entertained, and it was really fast paced. So it was really nice to see them enjoying that sort of type of competition. Now, coming into the new year, we introduced league. We introduced them into league competition. So, like you said, obviously the year threes, with approval from the clubs. That has to be said. The clubs have been absolutely brilliant in that respect. The kids are now playing within the club league setup. So the Gibraltar Youth Football League, our year 3 teams are now competing, or some of them are currently competing against club teams. And so far, so good. They've performed very, very well. They've all enjoyed it. Which, again, like you said, is the most important thing at that level. If they're having fun, they'll keep coming back, and if they keep coming back, they'll keep learning new skills. So that's the key there.
So year 3s is where we've started. Those are young players aged between 7 and 8. No?
Correct. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and so the philosophy there is play without pressure.
Yep, absolutely.
How can you achieve that when...
Are a result or a consequence of doing other things correctly, and that's the mentality and that's the philosophy that we're trying to build and that we have. Parents have been very supportive of that, and they've been absolutely brilliant again on the sidelines. Coaches, again, all the coaches that are working with those groups have that same mentality as well. So we're quite selective in who we bring in.
But you've got
coaches,
quite a lot of young coaches, haven't you?
Absolutely, yeah. So there's between 50 and 60 coaches at the moment working within the development school and fundamental programs. So they all go through specific training. They're going through their UEFA courses as well. We've developed our own course, which is specific to what we want to build in Gibraltar Youth, and that's something that they're all going through as well. So
and that's a volunteer position or paid?
No, it is paid. We do have some volunteers that choose to be volunteers, and they're just as important as the paid members of staff. But I mean, from a coach education point of view, it's so important that anyone that comes on board not only has the safeguarding certifications, the first aid qualifications, but the coaching side of things is so important. And our coach education department has been doing a fantastic job to try and build our own program and move that forward. And our coaches are obviously seeing the benefit of it. So it's a lot of little pieces of the jigsaw put together that eventually will lead to a product that will continue to develop talent into the future.
Amazing. Okay, so we've been talking then about largely 7 to 8 year olds. I'm sure some of what you've said also applies to the 5 to 7 year olds. You've done things a little bit different for them, maybe for the years 1 and 2, in that they've got a development school league now up and running. How does that work?
It works very similarly to the Gibraltar Youth Football League. So the current league setup across youth football, following going into the second half of the season, is smaller groups, and it's based on sort of final standings or rankings after the first half of the season. And by doing that, it puts teams and clubs into groups more based more on ability. And what that has created is a more sort of competitive atmosphere. not competitive in the negative sense, but competitive in that you go
More
into a
even
game.
playing field, no?
Exactly. So you turn up at a game, you don't know who's going to win or whether it's going to be a draw. So it's exciting for the kids, and that sort of league structure we've carried on, and we've introduced that into the development school league as well. There is the play without pressure element in that. With any groups under the age of 10 do not play playoff games, for example, to see who goes up and down. It's just, they play their games and then they get a new round, and it's just every week they've got a different challenge. So the Development School League is very much like that. It's just for the kids to experience that element of competition, which is obviously so important for their development as well.
Now, I meant to mention with the 7 to 8 year olds the sort of kit element, because they get sort of a club style kit, and I know I wanted to ask you about the kits for the youngsters as well, but tell us how that's worked.
Yeah, so the development school at the end of the day is we like to see it as a club as well. So it's a case where the kids turn up, they pay, the parents pay the registration fee, and we provide them with a free kit, and it's a training kit. For the year threes who are competing in the GYFL and the Gibraltar Youth Football League, we've supplied them with also a match day kit, which is specific to their school. Great reaction from parents. The parents love it, and the kids are absolutely buzzing because they've got their own shirt number. They've got a shirt that represents their school.
With numbers and all.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Brilliant.
it's a league rule, so they have to have it. We can't have our teams breaking the rules. No,
absolutely not.
Absolutely not. So they've got that, and it's really nice to see that sort of. It builds that camaraderie between them as well. So that's been really, really nice to see.
So this, just to understand it and make it obvious then, so you could have like a Bishop Fitzgerald playing against Lincoln Football Club.
Potentially, yes. So in this round of fixtures, we've got Bishop Fitzgerald, St Anne's and Loreto School competing against Monscalpe Magpies and the GFA Girls, for example.
Sure.
So it's a really competitive group. Some fantastic games over the last 2 weekends. Every single team in that group and all the groups really have been sort of performing so well. And because they're grouped in ability, what you see is the players that haven't necessarily shone before really start coming out of their shells, and that is so nice to see, because it's everyone developing at now their own pace. So that's essentially what it's all about.
So trying to remove the pressure then is allowing young players to and with their coaches and their parents to have their own kind of goals and their own growth journeys. No, I mean to not sound too general, but like people will develop at their own paces at that age, and what makes a good game for one player, 3 months into their football life is going to be different to what sort of somebody who's been playing for 3 years expects, even if they're both 6 years old.
Absolutely. I mean, look, you can have, like you just said, that everyone develops at their own pace, and instead of the question I hate at the end of every game is, how many goals did you score? Did you win? Those are such ridiculously silly questions to ask a 5, 6, and 7-year-old.
But it's so easy to do it, though.
I know it's very easy to fall into that trap. Whereas the questions that we should be asking is, did you have fun? That's the first question that should always be asked. The next question is, what goals did you score? Like, as in, what were your match goals? What did coach tell you to do? Did they, maybe a goal
not
was
scoring goals,
exactly,
objectives.
An objective, a goal might be, can you put 5 passes together? Can you take a player on and win in a 1v1? Those kind of targets that we should be setting, because those are the technical aspects of the game that we're trying to develop. Did you quit? Did you keep going to the very end? Those are the questions that we should be asking these children, because those are the types of attributes that we want to build, not just to make them better footballers, but to help them in every aspect of life. Those are such key things to have and skill sets to have in life.
And who's attending the sort of development school and fundamental program? Is it principally boys, or have you got enough girls coming through?
There are a lot more boys than girls currently. It's not for lack of trying. I think that the work that the women's department have been doing over the last 4 or 5 years has been really fundamental in increasing participation in girls football. But with some groups, there is, unfortunately, I still think a stigma attached to girls and football, and that's something that we've worked and we're continuing to work really hard on breaking. And what we have seen in the last few weeks, though, is more girls coming through the door. and we hope that eventually we can have almost or near two equal numbers. That's the goal. That's what we really want.
Brilliant. Okay, so I mentioned the fundamental program, just to talk about them and whether there's something particular that you need to do for young football players aged 4 to 5. I mean, I guess the clue's in the name, and it's all about having fun, and there's even less pressure. Do you play games? How does it work?
So the fundamental program has three elements to it. You've got the reception group, which is the oldest group within that program, and essentially with those groups, it's about putting on fun little activities, fun little games where they have to use the ball, where they have to try different things. I've got a fantastic team of coaches with that group that are always coming up with new ideas and new games and things that they can try with the kids. And again, are they smiling when they turn up? Are they smiling when they leave? Have they had ball rolling time, for example? Have they touched the ball loads and loads and loads? Are they better than they were when they arrived? That is the key. And that's exactly what that program is all about. With the younger ones, we've also got the preschool and the nursery group. Those are guided learning, assisted learning. There's equipment out. There's little activities that take place, and it's more to get kids to just have fun, be in a social environment that some might not necessarily be used to through school, or maybe they're not at school yet. So it's giving them that opportunity to experience a football environment, but just to again have fun and be around other kids their age. So it's that opening of the door, that beginning of the pathway to that then leads them on to reception and development school, and then obviously on to club football.
All right, Tiago, and just to round up, you're hoping to involve some Spanish teams in the coming months for these football festivals, these one-day events?
That's an exclusive, that. So yes, we've got some festivals coming up between now and the end of the season. So how that works is we've got obviously the Development School League, and at the end of each round there will be a festival, and the festival is essentially a 2-3 hour tournament. And the idea at the moment is to invite some foreign-based teams to come and take part in our festivals as well, to just sort of add a bit of colour rather than the kids sort of playing against the same teams over and over again. So it should be a very interesting challenge for them, and one that I'm sure that we'll all enjoy watching as well.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for joining us and giving us that really good insight into the approach taken and how it's tailored by age. Youth Football Coordinator for the Football Association, Tiago Costa, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me, Jonathan.